You know, for the last 5 years, my workhorse has been the Sony A7S III for video. And while I love the simplicity of the S3, it's very outdated. It's over 5 years old. However, my entire lens ecosystem is Sony E-mount. I'm not the type of photographer or videographer that believes in having several cameras from multiple or different companies because I believe strongly in uniformity and a quick, fast workflow. If something goes wrong on one of my cameras or I need a quick adjustment, I need to be able to know that camera inside and out, just like the back of my hand, especially if I'm using multiple cameras. As you know, I eat, sleep, and breathe Sony. So when Nikon announced the new Nikon ZR, right on the heels of the Canon C50, honestly, Sony, I think it's time for you to start looking over your shoulder.
Surprise, motherfucker.
What is up, everybody? It is your favorite, your boy Brandon Cole, and welcome back to the channel. I am a professional photographer based out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, VA stand up. Roots, you know what it is. If this is your first time here, I want to just take a moment and thank you guys and just say welcome to you. I talk a lot about photography and videography on this channel, any and everything you need to know about photography. We try to talk about it here, as well as bringing you some incredible behind the scenes photo shoots where you can learn a ton about studio and mostly on location photography, because I love being outside. I love the challenges. If you are a returning fan, I truly appreciate you. Remember, we don't have any sponsors on this channel, and anything that is here is from you guys and your support. It is all you that makes up this channel and grow, because I love what I do and I do to love. And now let's get on with it. So I got a question for everybody out there. Here's my question. Question of the day. What makes a cinema camera a cinema camera? This has been a question for a lot of people. And recently, several companies have launched their very own cinema camera. Cinema camera's been around for a very long time. But what makes a cinema camera a cinema camera? So it's so funny because here's what I found. I'm going to give you guys the definition of a cinema camera. A cinema camera is a professional digital or film camera designed for high quality motion picture production, offering features like large sensors, high resolution recording, customizable frame rates, advanced color profiles, and raw data output for maximum flexibility in post-production. These cameras are built with professional grade materials and feature rich bodies that support a wide range of accessories, making them suitable for the use on professional film and TV sets. Now, one of the things I found recently, or from a lot of people just asking the question, did you know that they say a cinema camera is not really considered a cinema camera unless it can output raw data? Unless it can output raw, it's not really considered a cinema camera. So these are not my words, but let me know what you guys think about that. Is a camera really considered a cinema camera if you can't output raw? I just had that on the brain, so I thought I would ask the masses about that. Alright, let's get back to it. Now, Nikon has not sent me the new ZR, alright? This is solely, just like I did the other one, this is solely a spec-based review, so we're going to talk about the new Nikon, and I'm going to tell you point blank period what has impressed me about this camera, what has me skeptical, and whether this is enough to make somebody like myself consider switching to a new manufacturer. I know from the last video that I did about the Canon C50, you all showed up and you showed out. You are committed, and we had an amazing discussion in the comment section. If you haven't checked out that video from the Canon C50 that I did, hey, the link is going to be up here somewhere. Go take a look at it. And from the looks of that video, and a few more, the honest opinion out there is a lot of people are just tired of Sony. Can you believe that? A lot of people are tired of Sony. They're tired of the lack of updates, the recycling and cannibalizing of the parts, sensors, across multiple cameras, and a lot of loyalists are ready to jump ship or invest in another ecosystem. So, what is it about the Nikon ZR that has everybody up in arms? Well, let's go ahead and highlight some of the key features of the new Nikon ZR. Now again, this is one of the first generation cameras collaboration between Nikon and Red. And I know they're excited just like everybody else. We was really excited to see what they was going to do and what they were going to come out with. And just the merging of these companies is pretty good. I will big shout out, big hats off to Nikon. So here we go. We got a 6K full frame 24.5 megapixel sensor. Now, as you all know it, this is the same sensor that is also featured in the Nikon Z3. But having a 6K sensor on a cinema camera, I think it's a great move by Nikon. I don't think they've used that sensor too much, so I think this is the second camera that this is actually in. But I think this was a good idea to put this sensor in this camera. So this camera can also do 6K 60, 4K 120, and 1080p at 240p. Great resolutions and great specs, man. I mean, 6K 60 gives you that flexibility, that 4K 120 gives you that slow motion, and that 1080p, 240 and 1080p. All of these things, I'm just like a kid in the candy store grabbing for all of these specs and stuff that's coming in all these cameras, man. Freaking Sony, man. All right, what else we got? Red Code RAW and in-RAW recording in this. Now, I know a lot of people, I've saw so many grumblings online where people are saying, oh, I'm not going to shoot in RAW and I'm not going to do this. Well, it is a cinema camera, you know, and like I read you the definition before, most real cinema cameras, you're able to output in RAW. So the ability to use Red and Red Code RAW and in RAW recording is going to not be for everybody, but the people that are really shooting those production-based shoots, or you know, cinematographers and videographers, people who are really those independents that are really looking to do film and doing things. You might add this as an A camera, a B camera. These raw codecs are going to be amazing and great for you, being able to shoot in Red without actually having a Red camera. If you don't shoot raw video, then you might not understand, but shooting in RAW gives you complete flexibility over your video footage. For a lot of us, we don't need to shoot in RAW, but having that, and you know, if you're trying to get into film one day and you're trying to get into making short films and long films or whatever the case may be, it's future proof, because you just never know. Yes, the files are going to be huge and all these other things, then it might not be for you. All right, now along with shooting in Red Code RAW and in RAW, you also have ProRes RAW, 32-bit flow audio. Man, I've been using 32-bit flow audio for quite some time, and as a on-location photographer, when I'm out into these uncharted waters and uncharted territories outside anywhere, I never know what type of sounds are going to be there or what type of bridges I'm going to be under, or cars, you know. So the ability for my voice to be controlled without clipping is absolutely great. Big outs. And the great thing about it is you can use 32-bit flow when you have an external microphone added or internal. Dual bass ISO 800 to 6400, basically the same thing that 15 stops of dynamic range. Think that's great. Most cameras and cinema cameras give you around 14-15 stops of dynamic range. Let's get on to one of the features of this camera that I think has everybody talking. That is that big ass bright folding 4-inch 1000 nit LCD. Man, you know, when they came out with the flippy turny collaborative screen like I have on my A7R V, they can come out, turn, flipped in. We thought this was the best thing since sliced bread. I mean, if you don't have that on your camera, like, it made shooting with this camera better than ever. Because for me, as a on location photographer as well, I love getting those low shots and turning and bringing it out and just having the flexibility of this LCD is absolutely great. But now I wish I had it with a 4-inch screen, because Nikon has, now it's going to be one of those things, if you get this screen, you're not going to want to shoot on any other screen now. This people, and it's 1000 nit brightness, which means it's really good in the daytime as well. So now you got Nikon was like, you know what, don't count us out. We gonna add some stuff in here. So I think this is probably the best screen that I've probably seen on a camera since the screen on my A7R V. This is magnificent. 4 inches. Also, we have 7.5 stops of image stabilization, and then I know they also have shutter angle in there. Now, so those are just a few of the things that, the features that I found that I really love about this Nikon ZR. So let's talk about the price. You mean to tell me that I can get all of this in this camera for $2,200? That is absolutely insane. Don't you know that the price of a Sony A1 Mark II is $6,900? So you mean to tell me that I can get three of the Nikon ZRs for the price of a Sony A1? That is crazy. I can get 2 of these 6K cameras for the price of one FX3 or one A7S III. That's pretty insane, man. I love the strategy and the tactic that Nikon used when developing this camera. They said that we're going to get back in this competition. It's not just about Sony and Canon. You know, we still here. So how do you get back into the, you develop a camera that not only competes with Sony and Canon, but you lower the cost, and it just makes it a sight for sore eyes. It's just like you can't overlook it. In that area of full frame cameras, in its category for $2,200, I don't think that there's anything on the market, especially video wise, that is as good as that. Like, they really did anything. I don't know if there's anything out there. If you guys have a camera out there, a video camera, that's $2,200 that can get you all of these things, please put it down in the comment section below. I would love to see what you guys come up with. All right. Now, although I think that this camera is amazing, especially for the price, I feel that I found a lot more shortcomings with this camera than I did with the C50. So let's go over a few things that got me really worried about the Nikon ZR. The first thing is the micro HDMI port. I don't know why we are selling a cinema camera, an updated cinema camera, something that's just not even out yet, and you put a micro HDMI port in. We hate micro HDMI ports. It's just too small, man, and it doesn't go with the rest of the cameras. Like, it's a full frame camera. Full frame camera should have full HDMI ports. That's just the way I feel. All right. The card slots. This Nikon ZR has a CFast Express B slot and a micro SD card slot. Can anybody tell me why this camera has a CFast Express B slot and a micro SD card slot on a cinema camera? That is baffling to me. And from what I understand, there's still no redundancy recording, so you can't record to both of them, to both card slots at the same time. Not to mention, from what I've seen and what I've saw and gathered and talked to people about, if you put this thing on a tripod like my ZV-E10, the battery is under the bottom on the ZV-E10 with the memory card. You have to unrig this camera every time because the battery and the card slots are at the bottom of the camera on a full frame cinema camera. Instead of the memory cards being on the side of the camera, you basically have to remove the battery to get to the micro SD card slot. For such an up-to-date camera, something that is improved, I don't know why Nikon thought it was a good idea to put the CFast Express B slot and a micro SD card slot under the bottom. I don't think they really took people into consideration. People that put this thing on a tripod, people that put these things on gimbals and all these things, and to have to take it off and do this all the time. See, for me, a cinema camera is all about recording. That's what we do. That's why we get cinema cameras and video cameras, to record the footage, right? But you skip out on one of the main things that makes a cinema camera a cinema camera. You can't even put the memory. You can't. That's baffling to me. No open gate recording. I think open gate should be automatic on all cameras now. This is 2025 going into 2026. I have no idea how you're making cameras without open gate, especially it's the video camera. Open gate, global shutter, those things should be honestly automatic. Now, I'm not going to speak on the ergonomics of this camera because I do not have it in my possession, but what I've seen, what I've been told by other people and other YouTubers, they are so upset with the ergonomics because the camera feels more like a point and shoot camera versus an actual cinema camera. There's no grip. Like, you see this grip on my A7R V? See how deep my fingers can go in here? The Nikon ZR is just flat. There's no grip. It's flat. And I think that's the reason why the memory cards and things have to end up on the bottom of the camera instead of on the side. I don't get that. I honestly don't get that. No top handle. Okay, so I don't know, like, they're coming out with this. Nikon by now should see what Canon is doing and what Sony is doing. I don't know why they don't have a top handle or made a top handle for this camera that was coming out. I think that should have been automatic. I think that would have helped Nikon set the bar as well, incorporating their own top handle into this camera, but instead they did not. No false color. Now, this is a crazy one because you come out with a red infused camera with ProRes RAW, red codecs in RAW, and you don't have one of the most important log shooting tools on your camera. This camera can shoot in all type of RAW codecs. So when you're shooting in RAW and log and all of these things, how are you not going to have false color? Every cinema camera should have false color. Unfortunately, and I'm talking to you guys because you guys are able to do it, Sony cameras don't have false colors. I think the only thing we have is the FX6, the old camera. None of our cameras have false color. We've been begging Sony for false color forever, especially shooting in S-Log3 and things. We don't have false color, and I don't like using zeros, and I don't like using histogram, and I like using false color because false color tells me exactly what is red, blue, green, and overexposed, and I love false color. This camera don't have false color. I have no idea why. Listen, at the end of the day, I do want to applaud Nikon for their efforts and their collaboration with Red and producing their first focus video camera. I think they made a lot of strides in the right direction. However, I do feel that it fell short in many areas, but here's the thing, I really can't hold them too accountable because the camera is only $2,200. I think what they was able to create is definitely a step in the right direction, and I do feel in about 1 or 2 years, Nikon is really going to produce something that is going to just set the market on fire. I think they are going to go back and they're going to learn from what they came out with this camera, and they're going to take away from the consumers and what's being said out there, and I think they're going to go back and fix those things. They're going to give you a grip, they're going to give you that top handle, they're going to give you a lot of those things. Now, me personally, as a Sony shooter, for the price, I don't really see any of these things being a deal breaker for Nikon fans. I think that's something they've been waiting for a long time. I think they will be quite happy with the progression of Nikon in this camera and what they have produced. Let's remember, this is not some type of flagship video camera, right? I do believe that this is a great start towards video production for Nikon and Red partnerships to come. It is a great way to get the buzz out there. It is a great way to start getting Nikon's name back in everybody's mouth. It's a great way to get people talking. And it's a great strategic move to price it at $2,200. People are going to be buying this camera just to say that they got it. But they're not just going to be buying it. They're going to be buying it in pairs. They can buy 2 and 3 of these things at the same time. They're going to sell Nikon is going to sell a ton of these cameras. Now, yes, it might not have a lot of the things that cinematographers and videographers are used to in other cameras, like Canon and Sony, you know, and having the other features. But at this price point, this 6K 60 camera, people are going to buy it. And they are going, some people are going to buy these things and create their whole YouTube studio with all these 6K cameras, because 3 of these things only gonna cost you about $6,300. So what do I grade Nikon for this? I think for me, I would give Nikon a C+. I give them a C+ because I think some of the things that is shortcomings are bigger than what a lot of people say. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, man. You guys showed up for the last video. Please show up for this video. Tell me what you guys like. Tell me what you guys think about the Nikon ZR and have done with this camera. Is this a really good strategic move? Do you think that it was a great first video focus based video camera? Tell me what you guys think. Like always, make sure you like this video, man. Make sure you comment. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, man. I love dropping these videos. I'm going to be dropping just more and more videos about just random things and just photography, everything, man. I absolutely love it, and we're going to talk about these other cameras. And again, I still think to this day, the ball is going to be in Sony's court to see how they respond not only to Canon and Nikon now, and Panasonic, honestly. I think if Sony drops something that's going to be disappointing and is not going to hit those things that we've been asking for a long time, I think you're going to see a lot of people start to leave Sony and start taking on other ecosystems. So it is going to be very imperative for Sony to knock their next video-based camera out the park, whether it be the A7S IV or the FX3 Mark II. They're going to have to include those things. They're going to have to really hit the competition, whether it be 6K camera, 8K camera, whether it have global shutter, you know, false color, and all the things that we want in a camera, shooting raw, different codecs, everything, the fan, all of those things. They're going to have to knock their next camera out the park, because if they don't, Sony's going to be in a world of trouble. Don't give us no recycled sensors. Don't give us no recycled stuff. We want some new stuff. All right. Until next time, man, this is your boy Brandon, aka the Kevin Hart of photography, and I am a fool, and I will see you guys in the next video.